we're going to look at the PowerBook G3 Pismo. Released in the year 2000, it marks the last of Apple's black plastic high-end laptops. The Pismo marked the end of an era, moving away from Gil Amelio's dull, boring plastics. Under Steve Jobs' leadership, Apple was embracing bold new designs, starting with the iMac. The PowerBook lineup would not receive this treatment until 12 months later in 2001. The end result is an old design with new tricks. So together, let's explore this machine and see what we can do with it. First, let's go over what's going on under the hood. The Pismo gains the same processor revision as the iMac G3, and in the process, inherits its memory bus, along with its graphics architecture, and its UniNorth Open Firmware 3 boot ROM architecture. However, it borrows its cache architecture from the Macintosh G3. So let's go ahead and pop into the System Profiler and get a closer look at what we're working with. So it would appear as though we have a base model with some upgrades. The stock model comes with 64 megabytes of memory. However, this model has been upgraded to 128 megabytes. The only two stock options for the base model included a 6 or 10 gigabyte hard drive. However, this unit is clearly using an aftermarket. A configuration like this would serve well in the year 2000. However, in 2023, it's a different story altogether. So let's go ahead and remedy that. The decades-old thermal compound has to go, so we'll be replacing it with Arctic Silver alumina. The aging mechanical disc only serves to hold the system back, and with IDE solid states being both scarce and expensive, we'll be opting to use an adapter to convert mSATA into PATA. mSATA SSDs are cheap and readily available. We'll be installing the maximum amount of memory supported by the Pismo, 1 gigabyte. And to round out the system, we'll augment the networking with the airport Wi-Fi card. So we are going to go ahead and remove the optical bay module. There is no battery module present on this unit. Pulling off the keyboard, we now have access to the inside of the Pismo. Like most machines of this era, the PRAM battery is completely dead, so there is no use in keeping it around. Further system access requires removal of the heat shield. With the heat shield free, we can now remove the heatsink. With the heatsink removed, we can now access the daughter board. With the daughter board removed, we can now get a better look at the insides. Lining up with the report from the System Profiler, only one DIMM is present. The system module contains several points of interest, one of them being the VLSI System North Bridge, powering the 60X bus. Flipping over to the other side, we are met with power delivery circuitry. And over here we have the EEPROM hosting the Mac boot ROM and open firmware. And here we have the SRAM cell, serving as L2 cache. And of course, the headliner of it all, the PowerPC G3. This version, the 750L, is a surprisingly small chip, measuring in at less than 100 millimeters squared. For scale, here's a Northwood Pentium 4. The overall design is reminiscent of Intel's mobile modules. For comparison, here is an MMC2 mobile module. They both have similar arrangements of pin connectors, VRM arrays, L2 cache SRAM, their respective North bridges, and of course, the central processor. However, Apple's approach diverges from its PC counterpart in several aspects. Intel's mobile module does not include the system EEPROM, nor does it include DRAM. Moving on from system details, let's go ahead and remove that old thermal gunk. With the CPU clean, let's go ahead and install the memory. Now before we close the system back up, let's go ahead and take care of the hard drive. I took the liberty of using double-sided tape to adhere the adapter to the chassis. We can now go ahead and reinstall the system module. Let's go ahead and apply some thermal paste. We can now go ahead and reinstall the heatsink. Last but not least, let's go ahead and install the airport card. Now before we close up the system, let's power it on to make sure everything works. Hello, Future Melody here. Everything did not, in fact, work. Well, after some trial and error, and the Apple hardware test, it would appear as though I have a faulty DIMM. However, this leaves me with just enough memory for next time's shenanigans. So for now, let's go ahead and close up the system. Now, I've gone ahead and have done a fresh install of macOS. So let's go ahead and see if we can use the airport card. So I've gone ahead and set up an airport router for the PowerBook to connect to, as the 802.11b card is incapable of connecting to most networks. And we are connected. So let's go ahead and see if the internet is working. Let's go ahead and open up Classilla, one of the last up-to-date browsers for classic macOS. And we're up and running. And of course, what better way to surf the web on a vintage machine than Action Retro's FrogFind? And look at that. Okay, a stripped-down webpage is one thing, but what about a full-blown HTML page? And there we go! The Apple homepage from when the Pismo was released. But let's try for something newer. Well, alright then. It's a bit more broken than I expected. Going beyond the 2010s, the Apple homepage becomes substantially less usable, which makes sense given that Classilla is forked from a 2005 release of Mozilla. So that's it for now. What did you think? If you liked this video, feel free to give it a like. If you have any thoughts, or something you would like to see in the next video, drop a comment below. If you want to stay in the loop about upcoming projects, go ahead and subscribe. Make sure to hit that bell icon. Thanks for watching.